Hey mom, how's it going?
I am doing really well, Lindsay. How are you doing?
Doing good. Doing well. Thank you.
Yeah, we have a big, big day today. I get to invite one of my favorite Georgia agents on the podcast today. Today we have Missy Stallings, owner of Stallings Insurance Agency, joining us. Missy, it is so great to see you. Thanks for being our guest today.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we met probably 2 years ago, maybe three at this point. I'm not 100% sure, but man, it seems like a long time ago. I don't know why.
Guys, we're old friends.
Yeah, we are old friends. But for people that don't know you, would you mind giving me your background, how you even got into this crazy insurance business and what led you to becoming the owner of your agency?
So I actually started my agency in the last recession. So
Wow,
this is
great
my
timing.
season. Yeah, winter is my season. And I was born in the briar patches, as the phrase goes. And I was working at Liberty Mutual at the time, but really a commute got really bad to downtown Atlanta from Douglasville, which is about 40 miles one way, but about 2 hours commuting with traffic. And so with taking years off my life, I would leave my husband sleeping and get to work, and he was at work ready to go, ready to start his day. It's really frustrating. So we decided we're either going to get divorced, we're going to move, or we're going to change careers. And he's been in the mortgage industry for a while. So we were looking for something symbiotic, thought about real estate, thought about getting in the mortgage industry with him again, but then ending a divorce was not an option. So we chose insurance, and we also wanted an industry that wasn't so tied to the market.
No kidding.
You know. So that's when we landed on insurance. And I interviewed a bunch of agents, independent, captive. When we decided I was going to start my career at Liberty Mutual, where I could learn the business and then transition to being an independent agent. And so started at Liberty Mutual in 2000, and then started my agency in 2000. Literally September 25th, the last month of stated income loans in Georgia and nationwide, and the recession. Great, great timing.
Hey man, if you're going to start it, I mean, both feet in, probably one of the most challenging times. I think a lot of people will say that now about COVID, but wow, that's super interesting. Oh my goodness. I don't know if we've ever shared our stories, but my husband and I were married and lived in DC. And when he started his job, there was about a 20-minute commute from where we lived to where he worked. By the time we had children, that commute had turned into about an hour and a half one way. So he left before the kids were awake and he got home after they were asleep. And we also faced the same kind of thing. Like, here's the deal. We're either going to move, you're going to find another job, or I absolutely will divorce you because I have two kids that are like 13 months apart. No way in hell I'm doing this by myself. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah. So anyway, it's kind of funny when you say that. I'm joking. Divorce was not an option. We've been married 30
Same.
years,
I
but
mean,
you know what I mean? Like it was a lot because that's basically you have no life beyond that. Anyway, I'm glad that it wasn't divorce and I'm glad you picked insurance. How's that?
we'll see.
So we said before you jumped on the call, my mom and I said that we weren't going to bring up the hard market because it's just so easy to bring up nowadays. But you saying that you joined the industry at such a hard time, you have to be like drawing some big, not conclusions, but like you have to see some similarities of when you joined the industry versus when you like right now when you're owning an agency. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll tell you, Tony, I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan, and I often seek advice outside our industry because I can say this as a female, our industry is male, pale, and stale, and it can get really boring sometimes and really stagnant, and we're behind with a lot of things that other industries have just surpassed because it is such an old industry. And so I think you find that when comparing to other industries, if it's a newer type, like IT industry, so new and thriving and changing. But anyways, with that, I seek advice and counsel outside of our industry, and Tony Robbins is one of those. on a personal note, I struggled for the past 3 years with depression and anxiety when that was like never talked about before, especially with
Mm.
somebody with, and I think it had a lot for me to do with COVID. I'm autoimmune. I have a blood condition. I was in the hospital for 5 days and almost died, lost 3/4. I look at life a little bit different, I think, than most people when you have a near death experience, and especially in the past 3 years. And leaned on Tony Robbins a lot during those downtimes because I didn't want to medicate. And, I think your mind is a powerful thing. So Tony's a big believer in mind and body both being healthy. And with that, I think in a recession, it's all about mindset. And can I read something
Yes.
that
Yeah.
I right now? And it's from Tony. I won't take credit for it by any means, but I actually just read it to one of my reps who is in here because, when reps come in here, I'm like, oh, it's so good to see you. How's everything going? So, for most people, the mere mention of the word recession is enough to invoke a sense of fear and trepidation. However, an economic downturn often creates unique recession opportunities. And if you take advantage of these, it's possible to survive and thrive. Hang on. And, oop, and thrive. I had to go get my sign. This was our word last year and really this year. Survive and thrive during an economic downturn. And as Tony says, what's wrong is always available, but so is what's right. Over time, things always balance out. And if you can develop an unshakable mindset, keep your perspective, and not freak out, the downturn can be a great opportunity. Read this, I can't tell you how many times. I almost choke up every time and I get chills. It's all about mindset. And if you really if you really change your perspective on what a recession is, it can really be a great opportunity. Some of the best companies were built in a recession. So needs to be one of those.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what are you doing right now that gets you thriving through the recession? Or can we really call what we're in right now a recession? Is that the right term
Yeah.
for it?
So
Strive to thrive.
yes, we took a word as an agency every year, and Thrive was our word last year. And that's when I went to the Tony Robbins conference. And that's what he got me there with this word because we had already picked the word and we could kind of see this coming. So Thrive was our word, but we picked a new one this year. And so we're really taking what we already have and what we've already built and really just trying to grow that. Also, that comes with creating an ideal client and firing some clients and um, really using the opportunities that we have. And also with referral partners too, training them a little bit better. There's another big tool that we've adapted this year called the Cultural Index. I don't know if y'all are familiar with it. Um,
The culture index.
so Cultural Index it's really personality profile testing. The difference in Culture Index is they put about 7 million into creating this test. It's 2 questions, 8 to 10 minutes. And it will identify your traits as a person that were set in between the ages of 8 and 12 years old. And then the second graph will identify your traits as it relates to your current job, your current role, your current project, and kind of compare the two. And it has helped us really decide, and we're still in the infancy stages of it. It was introduced to me about a month and a half ago by Stallings CEO. And so I have been using the tool because I got access to the test and I can see the results and I know enough about it and have learned enough about it. It aligns also with Traction, the book Traction, Gino Wickman. Matt's a huge fan, Matt and Ollie and Carey Insurance. So those two align. So I'm back to reading the book Traction again, and I'm back to identifying, do I have the right people on the bus? Are they in the right seats? But most importantly, the hardest part of this is, where is the bus going? And if you ask most CEOs this, they're like, we're just going to grow and we're going to grow as big as we can. We're not really sure. My husband and I are doing this right now. What is the vision of Stallings Insurance? We have our brand, we have our values, we have our mission statement, but what is the vision? That's what I've discovered with Culture Index, that I'm a visionary and I'm a salesperson. So, Carey, my Eat the Frog is like these like CFO level reports. I'm like, ugh.
It's the thing that I thrive on. That's crazy. Missy, that's not okay.
Oh, I don't want to necessarily call this person out, but the person that introduced me to Culture Index who did the survey, which is, yeah, watchers, did the survey for him, and he met with me. He met with me for lunch because he had watched Jim Schubert's podcast and said, I know what the chokehold is of your agency. I'm like, okay, I'm listening. And I'm a little leery when a CEO wants to meet with me. But he knew that I was a salesperson who was running an insurance agency, and he basically told me, you're running a charity right now.
Wow, that's
Which,
tough to hear.
but it was true. I basically, the analogy he gave me, because I was a gymnast in college, he said, you have 300-pound volleyball players trying to do gymnastics. Basically saying they can do it. They're athletic, but it's not going to be like fit 100-pound tiny gymnasts that are gymnasts doing gymnastics. So, um, great analogies. I'm still exploring all of that. My personality also gets information and wants to take massive action. For instance, when I first read Traction, I was like, oh, I got it. I read, and this is what I do with books, especially corporate books or self-help books. I'll read the end, and then I'm like, got it. Great. And then I go and take massive action instead of reading and digesting. Another thing that Culture Index teaches you, it's strengths and weaknesses. It's not right and wrong. It's not pass or fail, but it does. Some of your strengths can be weaknesses and weaknesses can be strengths. And for me, it's taking information because after I surveyed my full team, I wanted to come in and fire everybody.
That's not a good
So
approach. I don't think that works. Yeah.
no.
Culture,
Is
let's take that, let's just digest and marinate. And so that's what I'm trying to do. But I'm really, me not selling is doing the agency a disservice because that's my highest and best use. So I'm trying to figure out now who's going to run an agency. And getting everybody in the right roles. And we've already tweaked a few. So we surveyed my whole team, and I can send it to y'all too. It's really good. I know enough about it to be dangerous, but I'm still not an expert. And we just tweaked a few things. One girl we had in a role where she was doing account management selling, because she's kind of in a hybrid role, trying to transition from account management to sales. And she hates that variety every day, hates it. And so I'm like, great, okay, starting today, you're going to sell. But then there was another girl who's in a sales role. And she's like, I love that. I love variety and changing every day. So we put her back in that role. And so we'll see how it goes. This is still, slow changing, but we surveyed everybody and had a 30-minute meeting with each. And the other part that's hard with that though, is I only have 3 roles really in the agency. So it's not like I can flip it all on its head. And I love my people. And that's what I discovered too, that yes, it might be a charity, but it's still a profitable charity that needs a lot of money. And it's really, I'm not the person to say, these are your expectations. Why aren't you hitting them and putting the right person in place to hit those expectations? And that's what a good manager will do, is push people to be the best they can be in the right.
totally. Is this the test that it asks you the 2 questions and it just has like a bunch of, it says, how would your coworkers describe you? And it asks you to select the traits. And then the next question is, how would you describe yourself?
Maybe I haven't taken it actually. I only took it once. But yes, it's 2 questions and then it has a bunch of traits. And some of them I was like,
Yeah.
I don't even know that word. I'm going to need a thesaurus and a dictionary.
Yeah. We are doing the same thing at my company. We all just took it and then we're getting together for a Christmas party and we're going to like go through it together as a team. Like, here's why you two work really well together. Like, knowing this about each other would help you. So I think that that's going to be like really cool.
Yeah. We've done Enneagram testing and we've done the 5 love languages, and those have all been great. And it's just different. This is really specific to job and what
Hmm.
roles you're in. And the second graph can actually change every 3 to 6 months. And I did some testing. I had a few of my people take the first one, to get this week and next week. The first graph didn't change at all. The second graph changed a little bit, but So my husband and I, this is really funny, are the same. We're both persuaders. Our graphs are exactly the same, which whenever we've taken any personality test, this is what people say you're exactly alike, which is what you'll struggle with in your marriage. However, he's super logical and I'm super emotional.
Mm.
And that's why we fight.
So I want to talk a little bit. I was cyber stalking you on LinkedIn and I saw in one of your posts you've done talked about, I don't want to be on a referral list. I want to be the referral list. And I'd love to talk about that a little bit because, especially right now and knowing your history, this makes a little bit more sense about you that you want to be the referral list. You're always looking for those connections. What are the first steps for you in making those referral partners? How are you finding them?
Well, I'm getting back to this, and this is part of we're trying to change. We have a cruise ship right now, and we're trying to change starting about this time last year. So, and hopefully by the full year we will have changed. That's a bad analogy, but 180. So with that, we've identified obviously symbiotic relationship with my husband. He's been top producer at Star, which was his prior company. He just started a new mortgage company with his cousin. It's been a great time to start a mortgage company. So I know lots of people in the mortgage industry, but a lot of them just go stagnant because we're not following up on them. And truly, the relationship. I've traveled with these people on rewards trips. So we started there, and we're not abandoning the mortgage relationship. However, we started calling on financial planners, accountants, and then we're also trying to grow a commercial book of business. But what I've realized is this is easy for me to reach out to these warm contacts of mine when for my staff it doesn't come so easy and naturally, and I've discovered this through Culture Index when I'm like, this is easy, this is what you do, this is a conversation, I can even script it for you. And my team is there's two types of people in Culture Index. You have your buffalo hunters, the ones that are going out there and hunting the buffalo, and then you have your buffalo skinners. I have a team of buffalo skinners. I'm the only hunter on my whole team. It's hard to get a skinner to go and hunt buffalo. They're like, I don't really know what even gun to use. Where do I go? Do I look through the scope? Like, how do I even shoot the gun? So something that comes natural to me, I'm now realizing does not come natural to everyone. So for me, I've realized a few things in this discovery process is that I connect to people. I want to win, but I also want the relationship. And if I don't win the relationship, to me, it's like I haven't won. I would rather win the relationship than not win the account at all, because eventually I'll win the account because I have a relationship. So with that, I share a little bit. Y'all can tell I'm an overshare. And when you do that, it builds trust. And then people share with you personal information. And so when this goes back and forth, I can create a relationship pretty quickly with somebody and learn a lot about them and them about me. And so that is really where I've identified. And then once you've done that, they build that trust. The next piece for me is we talk a little bit of business typically in the first appointment and or the first call or the first video chat and a lot of times it's just rekindling for me a lot of these relationships that I had for a long time. So I'll tell you about it. I was at a networking group, and I think this is the story you heard, Lindsay. I was at a networking group, and one thing I really recommend is taking somebody with you to hold you accountable. Like they might not even know what they're holding you accountable to. You're just saying in your head, "We're going to make me say some tough things." Because I'm so relationship driven, sometimes I don't want to say hard things to make somebody else awkward. I don't really care. I don't want to make them feel awkward. So, but it is kind of fun. So we're at this mortgage networking group, and I see many old relationships that Stallings Insurance is not where they're sending their insurance leads. And so I asked him, I said, it's really, and I put a lot of blame on me. It's really my fault for not following up with you. He's like, no, I mean, I should keep you at top of mind. We go back years, and I know y'all do a great job. I'm like, great. He was like, so I'll go back and we'll add you to the list. And I said, no, thank you. And he looked at me with wide eyes, and he had two other loan officers on his team with him, and they were like, and I just said, tell me, and his name is Chris. I was like, tell me, Chris, do you want to be on your real estate agents list? Do you want to be on your builders list? Do you want to be on their list of, these are my mortgage professionals. I'm going to put you at number 3. I just said, no, thank you. I don't want to be, especially in this market, I don't want to be third in getting those crap leads. I'd just rather not be on your list. When you're ready for me to be the list, let me know. And they were hard. I didn't follow up with them because I was like, I'll just leave it at that. He followed up with me the next week. I'm ready for you to be the list. I'm ready for, and it was so awesome to have confidence in my agency. First of all, to say that you have to be confident enough that you can handle all those leads that they're about to send you. But secondly, to be bold enough to say that it's already a no anyways. We're not getting any leads from him anyways. So might as well be, I'd rather just be the list. Yeah.
I love that. I absolutely love that, because the thing is, it's a lot of work to keep all those relationships. And if you're just number 7, 8, 9, 10, and they're not really valuing you the same way that you value them, you made the right choice, because unfortunately, time is very precious. So spending time building relationships that actually are going to be two ways is incredibly important. So I love that. I love being bold.
Right.
I might use that. I definitely might use that. Yeah. I love it. So you said a couple of things that you're working on in your agency, but we're nearing the end of 2020. And I guess I would love to hear from you as the visionary, as the person who is looking forward. What was some of the biggest mistakes inside your agency that you've learned from, you've adjusted, and it's in the forefront of how you plan for the next year?
Well, I think we mentioned this, right? Making sure it's the right people on the right bus. And if you don't personally invest in Culture Index, I'm happy to run some surveys for you because it helps me to learn to fully investing in the program. You get access to their coaches and I can pass anybody by them, but it's also, I don't know that I would call it a mistake, but it's been a huge learning curve to say, just because you were good at this makes me think you'll be good at this. And I'm the perfect example of that. Just because I'm great at sales doesn't mean I'll be a great. But I knew that coming into it. I read E-Myth and E-Myth Revisited and then Traction, which I'll talk about that. Just because you're a great salesperson doesn't mean you'll be great at management or C-level exec. So the other big mistake, Carey, is not knowing my numbers like as a CEO should. And it's still a big weakness of mine. Not knowing that, I remember the CEO of Stallings Walters when he told me that I was running a charity. I was offended, and I was like, "This is one of those chauvinistic white males again, saying something rude." And then I was like, "Oh gosh, he's actually right." He was just bold enough to say it. So I will tell you, for him, he doesn't care about the relationship; he just wants to win, and he saw that for me. He was like, "I know that you can win out there." And so, anyways, he saw that you need to be out there selling. You're basically a Ferrari and you're driving it like a riding lawn.
That's pretty blunt. Yeah, that's awesome.
Very blunt.
But it's true. And it's again I love analogies. It's another great one, a great visual. So that's another mistake. I should have been selling. The agency would have been a totally different place if I was selling the whole time. Now, I have created a culture because what a lot of the survey results of my team say on paper is that they're either wanting to quit or they're going to quit soon, but that's actually not true after, reviewing it candidly and openly with them. We've created such a culture here at Stallings Insurance that it's something they can't replace. So they tolerate their jobs. So now getting them in the right role, the culture part was easy for me to create. And I really did have to be involved in that because of the visionary that I am. So I think next year for us is really going to be knockout if we can really find the people to get in the right role and I can find somebody to do the CEO job.
Missy, it's not easy to be as introspective as you are. Like, I think that that's a pretty commendable thing, because there's not a lot of people that are able to do that. And you said something that I think we all do. Anyone who's ever hired someone, interviewed someone, we want to surround ourselves with people that are like us, or we assume people are just like us because that's the way we relate to the world. So one of the biggest challenges as a leader is recognizing the differences in others and making sure that they are actually placed appropriately to be successful. Because, for instance, numbers are very easy for me, obviously, or I wouldn't have the job that I have. I have a daughter that not Lindsay, her sister, absolutely cannot, she can't think of numbers. And so it's really
Oh, me
hard.
too.
Well, I'm just,
Let's not discount that. Me too. Me too.
but like they
Anyone
don't,
listening to this right now,
yeah, they don't
don't
think
ask
in
me to
numbers.
add 2 plus 2.
And so, like, as a parent, trying to explain numbers, or that'd be like you trying to explain sales to someone. It's literally in your DNA. It's not something that you can break down. Maybe you can, maybe you're much better at it. But for me, explaining numbers to someone isn't something I can break down easily. It's, I just find it really interesting. You're able to see that and do something with it in order to push it forward. It's super commendable.
Thanks, but not too massive. If I take, like, don't fire them all and start over.
Yeah, don't do that. Please don't do that. Yeah. Anyway.
I didn't want to do, but I was willing to do it too.
Yeah. Right. I get it. Yeah.
So yeah, thank you.
Well, Missy,
Well, and funny too, some people take criticism as, there's one on my team that takes criticism as you're firing me every time. Every time. Is this my last day? We haven't, you would know if it was your last day. We would do it, it's the official performance plan, and people know, like, if you don't make these, it's, I've only had to fire 2 people ever in 15 years. So, and it was terrible. It's so hard. But my personality is open to criticism, but I want to take massive action with it. And that goes back to my being a gymnast. I think that was instilled in me. I started gymnastics when I was 8. And remember, 8 to 12 is when these traits are set in. And so that coaching and constantly being told, you can do it better, you can do it better, you can do it better. So
Mhm.
that's proven well in the agency too. I don't have the mindset. It's always been done this way. I'm always like, how can we do it better? How can we do it better? How can we do it quicker? How can we do it more efficiently? How can we be better? And then when a client gives feedback, I'm like, thank you so much for that feedback. I don't go to defense mode. I go to, how can we do it better? I also think, okay, let me perspective. I don't go and again fire on my staff and say, y'all did a terrible job. But I think, constantly thinking, how can we do it better? So
Well, it was great to have you on. If someone's listening to this and wants to reach out, you've mentioned a bunch of different like resources and things. If someone is interested in learning
yeah,
about those or just wants to chat with you, where can they reach you?
many places, but Stallings IA is our website, and that gets you to all of Stallings, my last name, I for insurance, and A for agency. And that gets you to all. And typically that's our, um, handle, I guess. What do you call it? The thing that gets you to LinkedIn. And
Your social media handle. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, so they handle as like,
Oh, Missy, I could talk to you all day long. Thank you so much for coming on and being our guest. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
yes, same. Thank you so much.